Your higher self sometimes blocks what you think you want. And it's not because you're not worthy or you're not doing enough, it is actually divine protection. And I see this all the time with my clients. They are frustrated because something won't manifest, not realizing that their higher self is actually saving them from a massive setback. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to recognize when your higher self is protecting you versus when you're just blocking yourself. Now, I want to show you something today that's going to change everything how you view about manifestation blocks. And I just finished meditating and I feel absolutely great. So if something resonates, make sure you're taking notes and leave them down in the comment section below. First thing you need to understand is that there are two types of blocks in manifestation or even in life itself. The first block is self-sabotage. The second one is divine protection. And divine protection isn't your guardian angel stopping you from texting your ex at 3 a.m. while you're drunk, although we sometimes wish it was. But here's what most people don't understand about their higher self. Your higher self sees more than what our human mind can see. Okay? And I remember when I was trying to force certain opportunities in my business, trying to force certain connections, certain deals for my business, and I was just going hard, trying to do everything right, but nothing was working. But here's what I realized. I realized that your higher self operates on three specific levels. There is a timeline vision, and then there's a frequency protection, and then there's a path alignment. And if you are frustrated because something's not manifesting, it's probably because your higher self is seeing something that you can't see yet, or it's overseeing something that you are oblivious to. So let's break this down, okay? Let's talk about timeline vision first. Your higher self doesn't just see what you want now, it actually sees the entire timeline of that manifestation. Think about it like this. You're trying to manifest a specific person, a job, a specific opportunity, whatever it is. But your higher self is like your best friend. It's your bestie who can actually see the red flags that you are ignoring. Now, there is a first layer timeline called a desired timeline. And simply, this is what you think you want. This is your ego's vision. And here's where it gets interesting. Your ego can only see what it wants based on your current level of consciousness. But your higher self sees way beyond that. It's like when we were a kid wanting to eat candy for breakfast. Remember that? And our parents would be like, no. Not because they're blocking your manifestation, but because they can see what you can't. Got it? Good. Second layer is the protection timeline. This timeline shows what would actually happen if you got what you wanted right now. And let's face it, sometimes it's not pretty. But let me tell you something crucial right now. Some of your unanswered prayers are actually your answered prayers. Your higher self said, not this, because better. And listen carefully, because I'm going to tell you how to recognize timeline protection blocks. If you run into constant resistance, even if you are taking aligned action, that is a protection timeline block. If you experience a door closing right before your manifestation is going to happen, that is a protection. If you experience sudden loss of emotional attachment, that is also protection. And come to think of it, when I look back at certain business deals that fell through, certain relationships that didn't work out, my higher self was literally saving me from what I call delayed disasters. Now let's talk about optimal timeline. And this is where everything changes. The optimal timeline is what your higher self is actually trying to align you with. But here's what most people don't understand. Your higher self isn't just sitting up there playing Sims with your life. It's actually trying to get you to your desired reality faster than you could get there by yourself. Now, the optimal timeline has three specific markers. Let's talk about divine timing first. This isn't about waiting, but it's about preparation. And I remember being so frustrated about why certain things weren't happening. And then I realized my higher self wasn't saying no. It was saying, not yet. Not yet. We need to build something first. You need to become this particular thing first. And listen carefully, because divine timing isn't about punishment, not being worthy. It's not about random delays, but it's about the perfect setup for you. Maximum impact and optimal conditions. Amazing. And let me tell you something right now. If you're not getting what you want, it's probably because you are being prepared for something better. Now, let's move on to frequency alignment. And let's break this down. Frequency alignment, because this is where your higher self does its most important work. You see, your higher self operates on what I call the frequency protection, and it's going to blow your mind. Think about it like this. Have you ever noticed when you're about to evolve, to level up, suddenly everything that doesn't match your new frequency just starts falling away? That could be friendships, a job, your current partner, whatever. But here's what most people don't understand about those blocks. They are not stopping you. They're actually accelerating you. And I remember when my higher self was blocking certain partnerships with women. I was so frustrated. But what I didn't realize was that these partnerships would have locked me into a lower frequency from past experiences. Now, in a business sense, oh man, my first business partnership resulted in 6 figures worth of debt. And it was one of the worst times of my life. All because I didn't follow my intuition that the higher self was blocking that partnership. I had all the signs. And how did it happen to me? Well, I was trying to manifest from ego. I was attempting to force alignment, to force this creation. And I was operating from old patterns, or society's patterns. And let me tell you something crucial right now. Your higher self would rather have you frustrated temporarily than stuck permanently. Okay? It would rather have you frustrated temporarily than stuck permanently. Now, listen carefully, because there is another block called energy preservation. And this is where it gets interesting. Your higher self will block anything that would drain your energy, lower your frequency, or even delay your evolution. It's like it's having a spiritual bouncer. Not everyone gets to access your energy. Your higher self is very selective about what it lets into your reality. Okay? Now let's talk about how vibrational upgrades work, because this is where everything starts making sense. Vibrational upgrades are what your higher self is actually preparing you for when it blocks what you think you want. And here's the thing. Your higher self isn't just being a hater, blocking your manifestations and all. It's actually being your biggest supporter, but in ways your ego mind can't understand yet. Crazy, right? And there are 3 levels to this. So lock in what I'm about to say, or you will miss the upgrades. The first level is frequency clearing. This is why certain things in life start falling apart before you step into that new frequency, when you step into that breakthrough, when your manifestation comes. And I remember when everything was falling apart in my life. Simultaneously, during that business partnership, my relationship was ending as well. I was also dating someone out of alignment with myself. Some opportunities started disappearing, plans started failing. Like everything, every pillar of my life was crumbling except for my health. But here's what was really happening. Your higher self initiates clearing by removing lower frequencies, dissolving old patterns, creating space for the new. I remember even trying to get back with my ex-girlfriend, and she was so toxic to me. But let me tell you something right now. If everything is falling apart, you're not being punished. You're actually being prepared. Because once you've passed that first level, the next level is energy expansion. And this is where your higher self literally expands your capacity to hold higher frequencies, to be a bigger container to receive. But here's the key. This happens through, listen carefully, challenges, so you can be initiated to a higher frequency. It can happen through delays. It can happen through situations where you are forced to surrender and give it up to a higher power, to a higher self, God, whatever it is for you. And that was a lot, so I hope you're taking notes. But hang in there because it gets even better. Once all of this is done, you are now elevated. And this is where everything your higher self has been doing all comes together. Elevation isn't just about getting what you want, but it's about becoming someone who can maintain what you want. And here's where it gets interesting. Think about it like this. If you won the lottery right now, would you be ready? Not just financially, but vibrationally. Your higher self knows that answer. Because elevation has two stages. First stage is you are now locked in to a new reality. And secondly, how much can you stabilize this new frequency or your new reality? Okay? But here's what nobody tells you about elevating. It's not about reaching higher, it is about becoming higher. When I finally understood this, everything changed. Instead of fighting my higher self blocks, I started asking, what am I being prepared for? And listen to what I'm about to say. Your higher self isn't blocking your manifestations. It is blocking your limitations. Now here's the cherry on the cake. Because now you're going to learn how to work with your higher self instead of going against it. So write this down, memorize it, because this might just save your life. There are 3 specific responses you need to master when you hit a block. And none of them involve forcing your way through, which is what I used to do. And has nothing to do with talking in front of the mirror for hours or putting crystals in your water and drinking it. None of that. The first response is the recognition response. Now, when you hit a block, instead of getting frustrated, here's what you do. You're going to ask yourself 3 questions. Write these down. The first question is this block consistent? Second question is, does this feel like resistance or protection? And finally, last question is, what keeps trying to come through instead? Okay? And I remember using this when massive business deals kept falling through. Every time it failed, something better would try to show up. But I was too focused on the block to see what was actually showing up that was better. Moving on to the second response is surrender. This is one of my favorites. It's not about giving up. It's about letting go and of trying to do it yourself and giving it up to a higher intelligence that has all the answers. Remember, your higher self can see what you can't see, knows what you don't know, and loves you more than you love yourself. This intelligence is pumping blood throughout your body, is keeping your heart beating, all without you having to consciously do that. It is also organizing the earth into order, feeding the birds, the universe, the multiverses, past, present, future. Do you think our limited mind can match up to this infinite mind of the divine? I don't know about you, but I am done trying to control things. And this piece about surrender is my favorite because my limited mind cannot comprehend to the infinite mind of the universe. Sorry about the tangent, it happens sometimes. Where was I? Oh, third response. Third response is what I call divine redirection. This is where you learn to read the signs that your higher self is actually sending you. Think of your higher self as your spiritual GPS. When it says recalculating or recalibrating, It's not because you failed, it's because it's found a better route. Okay? Here's what you can do moving forward. 1, stop fighting these blocks. 2, start reading the redirections. And 3, rejection means trusting that you are being protected. Now, if you would like to work with me to see where all your hidden beliefs are so you can easily create from your desired reality, link is in the description. Now, are you going to start trusting your higher self? Remember, your higher self isn't blocking your dreams. It is blocking what you would block your dreams with.